What's going on? This is part 5 for the small block Chevy 350 engine rebuild. On the video before this, at the end I was covering for the engine block, the camshaft and crankshaft of emery cloth, and honing of the cylinders for the block. And on that last video, on the honing for the cylinders on the block, only again, like I showed, only for the first 4 cylinders. That way I can, show the other 4, which would be 5 through 8. Those I didn't do, so I could show and compare. And on the camshaft, it was the first 3 that are like starting from the front or the top. And on the crankshaft, I just did the first top 4 journals, or the front journals. But off camera, I went ahead and finished everything. I did all 8 cylinders with coarse, medium, and fine grit on the cylinder honing. So all that's finished and wiped down, cleaned, and as well as the camshaft, all 5 spots that where the cam bearings would surround the shaft. And I did the remaining, I did all of the crankshaft journals. I finished all that off of camera. I cleaned them up. And let me give you a close-up of what's completed on all that. Starting on this side, the driver's side would be cylinders 1, cylinder 3, cylinder 5, and cylinder 7. I'll show the bottom side too. That's cylinder 1, that's cylinder 3, cylinder, start over. Cylinder 1, cylinder 3, cylinder 5, cylinder 5, and cylinder 7 on the bottom. Then on this other side, cylinder 2, cylinder 4, cylinder 6, and all the way in the bottom, cylinder 8. me spin this engine around. There's 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. Be shining some light through there so it's easier to see. This is cylinder 2 right here. Four, 6, and 8. Cylinder 1, 3, 5, and I don't know if I showed that one that good. And cylinder 7. And then this let's see, where's that? Right. This is the all 5 spots that the bearing surrounds on this crankshaft. Let me just lay it down so I can show it all at once. And this is crankshaft. All 5 for the main caps, main bearings, journals, and then all 4 for the connecting rods. And again, I haven't had a chance to take this timing chain sprocket for this crankshaft off yet. But I'm gonna remove it and install the new one off of the camera. So it'll be on the next video after this one. It'll be the new one will be on there. But I'm not gonna be doing the timing chain on this video. It'll be the next video, as well as the installation of the main bearings with the caps, with the main bearing caps, and connecting rod bearings with the connecting rod bearing caps. And you know, I'm gonna install the main bearings and the connecting rod bearings on the and show for the timing chain on the next video, not this one. On this video, I'm just gonna be basically just showing the installation of the camshaft bearings into the block, and I'm gonna go ahead and show the installation of the camshaft after the bearings are put in, and then after that, the installation of the crankshaft bearings for the mains only, and then reinstalling crankshaft into the block as well. And then I'll show the torque specs for torquing down the main caps, so it can secure onto the block, so the crankshaft secured on the block. And I think that, yeah, that's all I will show for this video. On the next one, I'll come back for the connecting rod bearings. That's because that's the I'll still, on the next video, I had to show the clocking of the piston rings and then installing the pistons, and then that's where I could show for the connecting rod bearings installation as well. But that's on the next video. But this video, like I said, I'm just going to show on this video the installation of the cam bearings into the block, and then reinstall the camshaft after the bearings are put in, and then I'm gonna show for the main bearings for the crankshaft, as well as putting the main caps back on for the crankshaft, and then torque it down. That's what's going to be on this video. I have a book for this actual engine that's going on in the vehicle that I'm gonna be swapping it later after I'm done rebuilding it. That shows all the torque specifications. Right here. It's for Chevy or GMC pickups, 1967 through 1987, two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, all 6-cylinder inline, 4.3 liter V6, and the V8 gasoline engine, which is the 350. And they also showing here for big block in here as well. But this engine is a small block Chevy, not the big block Chevy. Includes 1967 through 1991 Suburban, Blazer, and Jimmy. And you get these at AutoZone or online on Amazon, or they're like $13, something like that. But you go under, go to the to the section, the chapter section like for the engine overhaul chapter. It's where you'll find the specs and all the different sizes, like this, say for an example, like the cylinder, piston cylinder diameters. It shows all that. Only on the beginning of each chapter they're going to show that at the very beginning title of it. I'll show that real quick. And the only torquing I'm going to be doing on this video is for the main caps, to torque down the main caps for the crankshaft. That's all. But it shows everything in here needed. But I believe it's 80 pounds, 80 foot-pounds torque for all, even the rear, the one that's for the rear main seal, like right behind, for the the last the big bearing, that's 80, as well as the other 4 caps, main caps. It is chapter 2, part A. There's a part A, there's a part B, and there's a part C. Part A is for the V8 and V6 engines, and I think part B is for the 6-cylinder inline. So both of these V8 and V6 is just, I mean, these are both V8 and V6. Part B is the inline, like where you got, instead of the V-shaped engine, you got all 6 in one row. And then on part C is general overhaul. This is all overhaul, but you know, see, this one on this chapter A only shows for the it shows everything, like right here, the rear main bearing cap bolts torque for small block V8 says 80 right there. And then, but it doesn't show for the other ones, the other 4 that's above that. You have to go flip to the part C in the beginning of part C, which is right here. Somewhere. CAMSHAFT. All the information is in here. Here, there's torque specs right here. Torque specs. And it shows for the 2-bolt main caps and the 4-bolt. This is, we're working on is the 2-bolt. So that's also 80 foot-pounds of torque. It's going to be for all 5 main bearing caps to secure the crankshaft to the engine block. It's very important. You know, you don't want to just guess on these torques. Now, if it's like the inch pounds, like where you can tell, you could pretty much feel where, you know, not to put too tight or too loose on the low number torques. But if you're not sure, go ahead and get you one that reads out inch pounds. The torque wrench that I have is for the heavier torque, foot pounds. It's heavier than the inch pounds. But anyway, and they also have specifications for like feeler gauges of the clearance in between, you know, parts and whatever, or that you're going to be using the feeler gauge on the next video, because you need that whenever you gap in the piston rings. But like I said, I'm gonna show that. I'll talk about that more on the next video, but this is a very helpful manual to have. And in case you forget and you're doing it yourself, you could just pull out the book and then look it up. You know. Okay, we got the new new bearings I'm gonna be installing. That's the part number right there. 2100M. Camshaft bearing set. This is all 5 in here. I got it written on the box, like front and rear. The first bearing is going to be the one in the front. The last bearing is going to be the one in the rear. And I have them in order here. Starting with the first one, I just basically put a 1 on the first one, and there's a number. Let me see. There's a number on the outside of the cam bearing, not the inside, but the outside. It's a long number. You want to read the last the last 5 digits or whatever. Like for an example, this first one it says like 105 DR, but the one for there's gonna be only one that fits for the first one. Now when you go to the next one, I put a 2 in or 5 because you can use this in the spot in the block where the bearing goes into. It can either go in the 2nd slot or it can go on the 5th slot, which is the last. So 2 and 5 gonna have the same number. This says 106 DR. And then this one fits either 3 or 4 slot in the block. One is the front, and then the rear number is the 5th, where near the rear main seal. But this one says on the little words on the outside, this says 107 DR. And then I have 2 of them. 3 and 4, 3 and 4. They could fit 3 or 4. And then go back to the last one. It can fit the 2nd one or the 5th one, and that number is the same as the other 2/5 that I showed you. This says 106 DR. Let me show you all at once. This one only goes on the first one on the front. This could go, the 2nd one can go either on the 2nd position slot or the 5th. 3rd one can either go on the 3rd or the 4th slot. The fourth one can go either on the third or the fourth, and the fifth one either the second slot or the fifth slot. So the first one is the only one that can go to the first one, and that's because it has 2 holes on the first one only. Let's see if I can get a view of this. See, there's 1 hole right there. See, there's 1 hole there, and then the other is on the right there. There's a hole right there, then you turn a little bit, there's the other hole. So the remaining other 4 bearings, the one that fits for 2 to 5, or the 3 and the 4, those only have 1 hole. And it's all the bearings. The first bearing, I have this little chart here. It's the 12 o'clock position. That's 3, 6, and 9. What's important is just the bottom half here, but you're gonna have all these with the motor flips upside down, because right now this motor is flipped upside down, but tilted at an angle so I can show, so you can see, get a good view of the bearings. And I'll show that too, because it's very important where you put these, where these feed holes are lined up at. So, and where the feed holes on these 2 are for this first bearing, because it has 2 holes. Are positioned at 8 and 4 o'clock. And then once you got that in the right spot, then you put like a mark on the top to just like that, to mark 12 o'clock. But remember, this is 12 o'clock. It's gonna be the bottom of the block, because you only if with the block upside down, your holes are gonna be 8 and 4 o'clock position. Now, if it was flipped the other way, it would be it'll be 2 and 10. It'll be 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock if the engine block was flipped right side up, if the right way, you know, where the top is at the top and bottom is at the bottom. But it's easier if you have it's better to have your engine block upside down. So, but you put your 12 o'clock like on the top, which is going to be the bottom. That way, what's pointing down would be your 8 and 4. And I'll show that as I'm installing them in. And with the remaining 4, same thing. So I have the little mark that's the 12 o'clock. with the engine block upside down, of course. And so it'll be like this. Um, see, that's the mark there. So the 8 o'clock is right there. You see that hole? That's the 8 o'clock. That way it helps you mark 12 and 8. But, you know, now with the engine flipped upside down, the feed holes in the block itself, it's going to be in the 6 o'clock position with the block upside down as it is right now. It comes from the top actually, but like I said, you want to install these with the block flipped upside down. So the feed hose come from the top of the engine, but we got it flipped upside down. So the feed hose is actually going to be 6 o'clock position. But don't put these holes in the 6 o'clock position. Put them in the 8 o'clock position. For the other 4, for 2, 3, 4, and 5, put them all in the 8 o'clock position. The first one, the first bearing, make sure both of those holes are in the 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock position for both of those holes. For the first one, for the first bearing only, for this one right here. And I'm gonna install these bearings dry, so I cleaned them out. I cleaned everything out, the cylinders, where the bearings go for all the bearings, except for the pistons. I didn't clean those yet, but I cleaned everything, and the crankshaft, camshaft with some brake parts cleaner. You don't want to, you want to install them dry on these cam bearings. So let's get started on this now, on the installation of the camshaft bearings. I have this installing tool right here. When you install these, you start from the back, the rear, number 5, and then you work your way backwards, 4, 3, 2, and 1 to the front. Now, it could be the either way. When you're removing the bearings, I think it's reversed from what I said. I think you start from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th to remove them. But when you're installing, you start from the back, the last one, number 5, and you work your way to 4, 3, 2, and then 1 will be the last one for the front of the engine. So you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On this tool, make sure if you got any bumps or dents or whatever, or you get some sandpaper and sand this real good. All you need is coarse and medium grit would do good enough. You don't have to be fine grit. Make sure that's this surface right here is smooth all around where the bearing fits over it, because the last thing you want to do is get scratches and gorges on this. See, if it should be able to be okay like that, as long as it ain't jiggling around. And then when I put this on here, I make sure the numbers are like near this lip here that stops it, instead of up here. Instead of on this end, I have it down here, because it looks like both of the edges kind of got one side that has I guess it wouldn't, it doesn't matter, as long as you take your time putting these bearings in, because you don't want to go sideways. When you have this position in there in the block while you're installing them in, you don't want to, you want it to make sure it's perfectly aligned, centered. Otherwise you're going to damage the bearings. You just want to take your time when you're installing these. Take your time putting this tool in here. I just got them both on here. This is the support end. This is the goes on like this, and it's a snap ring you put there. I got it there, but I don't need the snap ring. But if you find that you need it, then make sure it has a snap ring for this particular tool. They got other tools on Amazon, and you know, that actually have a cone shape for this end, but this is a stabilizer for one end, and this one as well. This one fits in the front and then of the block or the back, and it's got the little groove right there, the lip that raises up so it doesn't go past into the block. And then these are for the ones for like bearings that's already installed, because it's a little it's small, it's thinner in diameter compared to this blue one. So this red one is for the ones that already have the bearings in the block, and you're just trying to finish it up like the last bearing or whatever, and they'll support with this. Or you don't have to have it in the bearing, but as long as you got this one, or depending on if you're removing or installing, this is gonna be for the ends of the block, like either 1 or 5 on the front or back, so it doesn't go past this. And then these are the ones in the middle that have bearings already to stabilize it and hold, you know. It'll be loose with this one, this red one, if it doesn't have a bearing in place. So these are for the inner ones. These are for the outside support. This one on the end, like I said, is you put the bearing, and this is a support also because it's actually pushing in the bearing, so you get support in 2 or 3 places, depending if you want to use all 3 of these or just one of these, whatever's necessary that fits, whether if you have a bearing or not. And then you hammer from not this end, but this end. It has like or you could hit with the hammer, and that's how so remover / installer, cam bearing installer, remover / installer. Now I go ahead and take this off with the bearing, because that way I could just position it. I forgot one thing. On the insides right here, where you see where all the holes, the feed holes, except for the last one, because that one's well, actually, yeah. It's like a little marker, let me bring this closer. So you can see right here, on the first on the front, on the first four, starting from the front of the engine, you got these let me see. Yeah. I was actually this way. Where the crankshaft is at, where the bearings go in the crankshaft, you see like a little line right there, like it's bulging out like a notch. That's like the that would be the top of the engine, but it's flipped upside down. But you can use that. You can mark a line where all the feed holes are at, except for the fifth one. It has a notch there too, but I was trying to show for like the oil holes, and right there, this is the one that's nearest the rear main seal. This number 5 here has a little like metal that sticks out, and you can use it as a marker for your 12 o'clock. You can use a Sharpie black marker, or it might be easier to use like a white paint marker. You want to mark those, and that way you can line up that mark with that mark that you put on a block, and that'll tell you your 12 o'clock position with the motor upside down. So it'll help you position the cam bearings in a little more precise, and that way you get that little extra assurance. Let me zoom in some more. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, that's the. Make sure I can see all 5. Leave it like that for now. Zoom out more. Like that. I think that'll work. Yeah. All right. Go ahead and mark these. is this one. Let's see. Just explain a little easier. Just use the oil feed hose that's on the crankshaft and just run a line down till you meet up with the edge of the camshaft bearing. Like that. Alright, now we're gonna start off with this in the support tool. $12 is that line. And it's starting from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So going backwards. And the 12 o'clock line helps you assure that you got it. Got the 2 through 5 slots. Because those 4 got one hole. That assures that this is going to be in the 8 o'clock position, and as well as the first one that has 2 holes. That 12 o'clock mark line gets you 12 o'clock, but with the engine block upside down. For the first one in the front, number 1, that's the 2 holes, and that will assure 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock position. If you want to make sure, just go ahead and take it off of the tool and then just put the bearing in itself, but make sure it's tight enough, like snug a little bit, and then put the tool in. Now don't have it backwards. Don't put these 8s in the 4 o'clock position, because the reason is because it spins clockwise to the right in a circle. So you want that hole in the 8 o'clock position, not the 4. Only one that has the 4 o'clock position is it's the first bearing with the 2 holes. So you're gonna have 4 and 8 o'clock position on that first one only. The remaining 4, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it needs to be in the 8 o'clock position. It's very important. Now you can do it the old way and put the holes in the bearings lined up with the holes in the block for the camshaft oil holes, but that's the old way. This is a better. This is what the manufacturers are recommending, that you use with the engine block upside down. That for the first one, 2 o'clock and not 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Then the remaining 4, which is 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 being the back near the rear main seal. All those remaining 4 are all going to be 8 o'clock position. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get all these bearings in, and then when I'm done, I'll zoom in closer to show the position of all the bearings in place. Because I might just be doing this video for just the installation of the cam bearings, and then the next video will be the installing of both shafts, the camshaft and the main bearings for the crankshaft, and then the installation of the crankshaft on the next video. It's looking like I'm only going to be able to show on this video only is the camshaft bearing installation. So the rest of what I said earlier is actually going to be on the next video, because I don't want to make this video too long, and then I don't want to run out of light. So and just slide the tool through. Like I got the tool on the bearing on the tool, and the end that's getting hammered up. That's holding the bearing. It's actually easier that way. That way you can line it up easier. like I said, this red one right here, you could just have that in between two slots. You don't have to, because it's not, well, I put it on the second slot. It doesn't matter when you have this blue one in on the front, as long as you got two ends of support. Oh, let me bring it this way. See, that's the blue one right there, and this is the front of the engine on the block. Just like that. And then see where I got that black line on the bearing, then it's that white line on the block. Just like that. And you do the rest of them like that, the same way with the marks, the same marks, the 12 o'clock marks. Yeah, just like that. Take your time doing this. Just barely tap it. gotta make sure that the oil hole is centered with the groove inside of the block where these are gonna be sitting, where the bearings sit inside the block for the camshaft. It's a groove that goes all the way around, and then you want to make sure you can visibly or feel the hole in the center of that groove in the block. Otherwise, you're gonna have an oil blockage. So that's another thing that's very important. Got that one in. Same thing, but just go on to the next one. Clock. 8 o'clock position, that's 12. Goes in that way. So that line on the line on the bearing, cam bearing, lines up with that oil feed hole on the crankshaft, except for the number 5, 1 through 4. Line it up with that for that 12 o'clock line on mark on the bearing. Hold the handle tight on the end that you're hammering to make sure it's perfectly steady as the bearing's going in. I think I went a little too far. Let's see. Go a little too far now. Let's go back. Too far. If you go too far, just swap this, pull this out on this end. And then just hit it from the other direction. Yep, went too far. So just take this out and reverse it and hit it, tap it the other way. Just like that, and then got that one in, and alpha number 3. Now going to number 2, the second one. Got number 2 in. Just got one more to do. Last one is actually the front, the first one, but the last one that goes in is the first one. Black line on the bearing, again, line it up with the white line or the oil feed hole on the where the main cap bearings go for off of the crankshaft. Line those 2 lines up, the black with the light white line. You can probably see this one the best. As it's going in. Zoom this in. So just like that. Barely tap it at first, make sure it's centered and lined up right. And it's not going in crooked. A little more. I think that's it. Carefully pull this out and scratch. Try not to scratch bearings. I'll do this one again. Okay. Because it kind of got, this tool got trapped in there, so I had to take the bearing back out. Still good. As long as you keep it lined up, it's supposed to be centered, then you won't have no problem damaging bearings. This one I'm just gonna do with the 1-inch support because I have a little issue with my tool because you never want to hammer these pieces or the other piece that holds the bearing, because then it gets it out of shape, and then you can't stick it in the, you know, in between the bearings or inside the slot where the bearings go in for the cams. But I'm making it work with this though. But you only want to hammer this end, the hammering end only. You don't want to ever put a hammer to any of these pieces. Otherwise, you're gonna have a little issue, and then you have to like take an alternate route, or just put this the final one in without the second support. You gotta do it careful, but I don't recommend to do it like that. But I'm just trying to show on the video, so I can only, you know, do what I can do at the moment. But you get the idea. So I'm gonna do it on the opposite end with just the support on the, that's hammering the bearing in. I just gotta be real careful. Tap it slow. Going in okay. It's going good. So, I think that's it. Go ahead and reverse it out, the tool off the bearing. This is how I put it. I usually, actually, it's either the blue or the red one that's supposed to be on for the other end. You switch them out, but I didn't want to hammer these too much because I used this tool several times, so I kind of did before, and I shouldn't have, but it still works. It still make it work. But like I said, they have other tools on like Amazon where this end support would be like a cone that fits in, and it goes from a small size to the size it actually is, so you get good size fitting, and so just to point that out. I'm gonna go ahead and tilt the engine completely upside down. And let me make sure I got the view of it. Okay. Let me zoom in, make sure I don't hit the stop button on accident like I did before. Okay, that's about as much as I could zoom in. Okay. Again, the engine is upside down. This is the bottom of the engine right here that's on top where the oil pan goes. This is where the crankshaft sits in. Just below it, see right here, these are the oil feed holes for the crankshaft. Now below it, which is it's the cams. This is the first camshaft bearing installed. Like I said, that line is the 12 o'clock marker for the bearings. But like I said, this block is upside down, but that's that's the best way to install these, with the block upside down. So this is the 12 o'clock with we're making this 12 o'clock with the engine block flipped upside down, so the bottom is actually on the top and the top is on the ground. Because so this is the front of the engine, the first so that's the 12 o'clock, that little white line up top. Now I'm just gonna barely tilt this down, and you can see that the bearing, let me scoot it back a little bit. You can see this hole here and that hole there. That's 8 o'clock position. That's the 4 o'clock position. Only this first, you get these little shreds when this is normal whenever you, let me see. When you installing these, you get little shreds off the edges, but it's not damaged, that's normal. So you got the 4 o'clock position on this side. If it's not showing reverse on the camera, but from my view, it's 2 and 4. This is the front of the engine, but this is where the timing chain goes. So we'll bring it to a little closer. I might need to get a light, maybe. Okay. See, there's the second. Uh, there's the second bearing from the front. See, 8 o'clock position. 8 o'clock position. That's the third bearing. Get on this side. And that's the freeze plug. And then you can see that back here. Hold on, let me bring it lower. See right here where my finger's at, over here, that's 8 o'clock position for the fourth one, and for the fifth one right here, 8 o'clock position. Let me try to zoom in the whole thing at once. I mean, so the camera could show it all. See, 8 o'clock position, that's that hole right there. Then just behind it is number 4. See that hole there? And then 3 is behind that one. And then behind that one is 2. That's in the 8 o'clock position. And then the front again. Let me bring it back to the front now again. That's the 4 o'clock, that's the 8 o'clock position on the first one. And then there it is, back here where my finger is at. That's the 8 o'clock position for the second bearing. Maybe I could get a view like this of it all. Let's see. I think I can. Here's the 4 o'clock position for the front. This is started from number 1 up front by the timer chain. Here's the and the top, the 12 o'clock is right up here. It's up here. So, and I got it kind of tilted the angle so you can see the other 8 o'clocks. So 4 and 8. This is 4, that's 8. So all the 8s are going to be lined up with this one. So there we go. All right. All right. Got the 4 o'clock right there, you got the 8 o'clock on that side. And now let me tilt it this way, we can see them all. Just so you can see the 8 o'clocks. Now this next, here's the second bearing right here. That you see it, the for the second bearing, this is the first one. This one right here, the light shining. Let me tilt it a little bit. And then behind that one, the one in the middle, the third one, then the fourth one behind that one, and then the fifth one, the last one. Trying to make sure this is seen good enough, so just bear with me. Okay, this is first bearing on the front, 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Where's okay. You see the second one right there where I got the flashlight on? They're all lined up though. See that? And go back to the fourth one. See if I could get an up view on this one. We're bringing it on the back now. This is number 4. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, we gotta raise it up some. Right there, I see it now. See right there? That's the 4th bearing. And then let's scoot it back. That's the 5th bearing. All of them are on the 8 o'clock position. But the first bearing, like I said, has one on the 4 o'clock position. It's the only one that has the 4 o'clock and the 8 o'clock position, and then the remaining 4 going from 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th only have the 8 o'clock position only, and this is the back of the engine where the rear main seal goes right here. This is the back of the engine, like I said, and there's a hole in every 8 o'clock position on all 5, but like I said, it's only the first bearing that's got the 4 o'clock also, but they all have the oil feed holes on the bearings to be in number 8 position, but the first one, the one in front, it's the only one that has 4 and 8 o'clock position. And there you have it. And you want both these sides. You don't want this front lip. You don't want the front lip of the bearing to go past this groove right here. And then on both sides of all the bearings, except for the last one, except for number 5, that one's, it's got extra metal towards the on the inside, so you gotta just make sure that the holes are lined up with the groove underneath this bearing inside that goes in a circle. But on both sides, make sure that both sides, inside and outside of the bearing, are even and they look the same, centered, except for the one in the very back, like I said, because it's extra metal. But you just got to make sure that the holes are lined up with the grooves. The groove lines is a circle underneath this bearing, so the oil can flow through the hole from the groove. The groove is in the center of each of these 5 slots. But on the next, that wraps it up for this camshaft bearing installation. All 5 bearings are installed, and on the next video after this one, we'll be showing installing the camshaft in here with these new bearings in, and as well as the crankshaft, of course, before installing the crankshaft, gotta have the bearings on. We're gonna show all this on the next video: the installation of the camshaft and the installation of crankshaft mains and the caps. We'll put these the half of these on first, and then you just set the crankshaft into on top of the bearings. Then you come back with the caps. And that will secure the crankshaft to the block. I'll show all that I just said just now on the next video. But that wraps it up for this camshaft bearing installation. And I'll see you on the next video.